In this video, we're going to be analyzing every state based on their lean relative to what the national environment was, which is a 1.5% win for Trump in 2024. So, so I'll just prove that Trump won by 1.5%. In this video, we're going to do what the relative lean of the country was relative to that. So, this is recording. Okay. And the reason why we're doing this is because I want to see which states are more to the left of the nation at large and which ones are more to the right. Of course, it's, obviously been a while. Doing it this way is going to help us look at perspective and see where states are relative to the country as a whole. So we can see which states are swing states and all that stuff. And I know it's not totally accurate to do it this way, but obviously, all the states that are in a safe Democratic column are going to be safe Democrat. California, Washington, Maine's first, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland, you know the deal. These states have to be in the safe Democratic column, considering that Trump won these states by over 15 points. Thus, they were more than 50. Harris won these states by more than 15 points. Thus, they had to be by default 15 points more Democratic than the nation at large. I'm forgetting something. Oh, D.C. and Hawaii. But those aren't the only ones. Look at the likely Democratic column. This also has to include states that Harris won by less than 15, but more than 13.5. Seeing as if the national environment was tied, they would have been safe. This actually includes quite a few states. We have Oregon, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Delaware. All of these states voted for Harris by less than 15, more than 13.5. For the Republicans, we can't put all the states that were greater than 15. They have to be greater than 16.5. But that would only put Kansas in the likely Republican column. All the other states are safe. So South Carolina is safe. West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Nebraska at large in the 3rd District, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah. All these states. And Indiana. Forgot Indiana. There we are. Looking at the Democrats in the likely Democratic column, you have all of these states plus Nebraska second and Minnesota. Because again, if the environment was tied, Harris would have won these states by around 6 points, not 4.5. So you have to have these states in there as well. So New York, New Jersey, Maine at large, Nebraska second, Minnesota, Colorado, New Mexico, Illinois, Virginia. All these states you have to have in a likely Democratic column. Because if the national environment was tied, these states voted to the left of the nation by less than 15, but by more than 5. And looking at the Republican side of things for the likely Republican column, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Iowa. You have all these states, and it's not just these states too. It's all these states in main second district, except for Arizona. Because Arizona, you have to realize with the way, and Nebraska's first. With Arizona, what you realize about Arizona is that it only voted for Trump by 5.5, and he won by 1.5. So if not for that, he would have voted by 4% if the national environment was tied, thus putting Arizona in the lean Republican column. North Carolina and Nevada are also here. Trump wins these states by around 1.5 if the national environment is tied. And New Hampshire's lean Democrat. Harris wins by 4.3, assuming a tied national environment. Forgot about Alaska. That can go right in the likely Republican column. So now what about the final states? Wisconsin and Michigan tilt Democrat, seeing as Trump won those states by less than 1.5. Pennsylvania and Georgia at between 1.5 and 2.5, they would both tilt Republican. So thus, we do see here that Republicans do win the election, assuming a tied national environment. But their advantage is a lot less than what it was last year. And we'll look at last year, at 2020 as well. Granted, the map was different in 2020, but that doesn't really matter. We can still analyze it. But, looking at 2024, it all comes down to the tilt Republican states. It's a very close election if the national environment is dead tied. Meanwhile, if you reset the map and look at 2020, you have a different story. Seeing as now we have an election where Biden wins by 4.5 points. So now, for these Democratic states, the only safe ones have to be more than 19.5. So, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine's first, New York. And obviously, states further down, like California, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts. And furthermore, Vermont and D.C. But that's really it. That's genuinely it. Assuming a tied national environment. You have, because these states like Washington, Delaware, Illinois, New Jersey, Oregon, they voted Democratic by more than 15, but less than 19.5. So it's like, assuming a tied national environment, these are all less than 15 points. And then into the likely column, you have Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, but that's it. Seeing as now Maine at large is now in the lean Republican column, 9.1, it's 4.6, assuming a tied environment. This is where New Hampshire, Minnesota, and Nebraska second goes well. And yes, it doesn't have a uniform shift applied. This also means that now in the Republican column, we have Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin. Oops. Did not mean to do that to Malin. North Carolina, 1.3. It's still likely Republican with a 5.8% lean relative to the nation at large. Put Florida in here as well. Texas. Ohio and Iowa. And even Alaska does go in the likely column. But past that, like South Carolina, Kansas, Nebraska's first. These are all solid. Of course, this is going to be solid too. Maine second, 7.4. That goes into likely Republican column. And, of course, all these states are going to be safe Republican at this point. So the bias here, you can really see, is huge. In Oregon, I messed up completely. So you can see that the bias here is huge. Because now, assuming a tied national environment, Republicans have a very convincing win. Last time, it's a very close election, assuming a tied national environment. This time it isn't. And that's the whole thing behind Electoral College bias. A lot of these states, assuming a tied national environment, we saw do swing left. You can see Wisconsin and Michigan, those two states would flip completely, seeing as they voted to the right of the nation in 2020, but to the left of the nation in 2024. We see states like Pennsylvania and Georgia become ultra close, whereas now they're not really. States like New Hampshire, Minnesota, Maine, the Nebraska 2nd Congressional District, they swung right, but they swung right by less, so they would actually have a leftward shift relative to the national popular vote. Some states do swing right, such as New York. I will give you that. New York went from safe blue to likely blue, even given this shift. But states like that changed that dramatically are rare. Overall, the point of this is, fundamentally, Republicans had less of an advantage now than they did back then. And what I'll also point out is that this map is a bit more favorable for the Republican Party. Because let's say that you have a scenario now where you have Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Michigan go blue on this map. Republicans still win the election. Whereas in 2020, as you can see based on this map, if these states went blue and Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona went red, it'll be a 269 split election in the House. Now, just to go into some semantics here, the House would do a contingent election based on who won the 2020 election. Looking at it, even though Democrats won the election, looking at state delegates, I believe the Republicans had the advantage. But, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for Democrats. And then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 for Democrats. Split delegations in Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, so that's 23. I think Republicans still lead the way with 27. Considering they won in Georgia and Wisconsin while they lost the election in those states, forcing splits in Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all of which Biden won. You should have those states. You have those states. So I think Republicans still would have won the contingent election, but it would have been close. And in the Senate, I don't know. I don't know how that would have went. Because 50-50, Democrats had the advantage, but Republicans would have broken a tie. So I don't know who the hell is winning vice president under that scenario.